Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from AstroladaOfficial, and these are your October 2023 video horoscopes for each of the 12 signs. And October is a very pivotal month for all of us because two eclipses are happening in the month of October in the sign of Libra and in the sign of Taurus. So that's what I'm going to focus on in these horoscopes for October because that's what's going to affect you the most, the eclipses. And we're going to pass through each of the 12 signs. You can just, this video is timestamp. You can just go straight to your sun or ascendant, very important to check on moon sign as well, very important. Or you can watch and listen to the general prediction for how these eclipses will affect everyone generally and in the world. And just before I start, I want to let you know that my book, The Astrological Transit Bible Interpretations, is out already for anyone who wants to read all the transits of the major aspects, all the transits and influences of what it is to have Jupiter transit your first house, or square your Pluto, or what it is to mean to have Venus transiting your Mercury, and so on. You can check out the link below. It's probably around 600 transits that are included, written over 10 years. All right, so let's start with October influences. The first eclipse, and remember, eclipses, they don't last just for the day of the eclipse, and that's when everything that I'm talking about will happen. An eclipse can start acting even up to a month before the actual eclipse, and if it's a solar eclipse, for a year later. The influence stays open a whole year, where you can see those things happening in your personal life or around the world, while for a lunar eclipse, up to 6 months after the eclipse and even a month before the eclipse. So the first eclipse is a solar eclipse, which is the more powerful, on the 14th of October. It is going to be in the tropical sign of Libra, 21 degrees. And the second eclipse will be in Taurus, at 5 degrees Taurus, on the 28th of October. And what you can think is, these are both signs of Venus. Libra and Taurus are both ruled by Venus, which means that our Venusian activities and enjoyments and pleasures will be eclipsed. So there is a possibility that anything Taurus Libra rules, like, you know, enjoyments, luxuries, pleasures, finances, and relationships, socializing. Libra is the sign of socializing. Venus as a planet is very social planet. These things can be eclipsed in some way, can be darkened over the next 6 to 1 year. Let's hope, it doesn't go that, how we remember from the last 3 years, but there is a possibility of some kind of a dampening or muffling influence. That's what an eclipse is. It hides the light, the energies of Venusian, either relationships, either pleasures, enjoyments, restaurants, socializing as well, luxuries, and so on. Um, and the other thing is that, let's see, the first eclipse is going to be in Libra. That's the more powerful one, the solar eclipse. And Libra is sign of relationships, and it's with the south node. Eclipse with the south node, which is a solar, does bring new beginnings, but with the south node, first some kind of sacrifice or letting go. So first there might be the need to lose something, to sacrifice, to let go, to release something, to leave your life, to make space for something new to appear, because the solar eclipse is new beginnings, sun and moon getting together. And it's in the sign of Libra, so it might be a very pivotal time for relationships around the world. In your personal life, whether it's business partnerships, Mercury is there with the eclipse. It kind of has more energy of, there'll be important conversations that happen about equalizing a relationships, about making it more fair. And if it doesn't go well, if there is no compromise on both sides, many relationships, contracts, agreements, it's not just personal relationships, it can be friendships, it can be clients that you have, it can be contracts that you have with others, it can be promises that you've done to others, might fall apart first, so new ones can enter your life. There might be someone leaving your life with the south node in order to make place for new people to enter your life, or some old clients leaving so new clients can come, old contracts going away. On the whole world, Libra is very much a sign of trading, of business, exchanges, small businesses, I would say. And not only small, but any kind of also stock market, because it's with trading, selling, buying. there can be some kind of an eclipse there again. We're talking about that. So we have to watch more carefully the stock markets as well, and the businesses. And of course, Libra is alliances, world alliances between political and countries, or between big corporations. So expect some big news over the next 6 months about big corporations. First, some of them might break down, or big alliances between countries that fall apart. Big alliances, you can say like BRICS, NATO, such big things that the European Union, and anything that is an alliance between separate parts. You can notice that there can be some crisis there because it's an eclipse after all. Maybe around the time of the eclipse, maybe within 6 months. There is an eclipse there, so something might fall apart to be put together. So look out for the new beginnings, because it's a new moon, in regards to alliances, but something first might be with it can be falling apart. Alliances between countries, companies, and so on. Venus, of course, it's a Venus ruled sign, Libra, and it rules peace. So we can expect big news about peace and peace negotiations. Of course, South Node is there. It's not going to be as satisfactory on both sides as expected. Some sacrifices have to be made, but there is some big important news about there. And also people or countries forming alliances. So watch out between peace and war. This is the energy of Libra, the opposite sign Mars, and some big developments there. And the other eclipse, which will be in Taurus, that's the last eclipse in Taurus, which is the sign of money. And it's with the North Node, which expands whatever it touches. And it's a lunar eclipse. It's the last one. 5 degrees Taurus. Anyone who has planets there, it can be very pivotal in their life. But collectively, again, we have to watch out closely the monetary system, the finances. They can be something that has been started in the past, because it's a full moon, you're seeing the results, can be implemented, can start giving its results, connected to money, to security, to finances, connected to diet, because Taurus rules the diet, connected to anything to do with the face, with the teeth, with the, as well, on a personal level as well. But maybe in the big world, that's probably over the next 6 months implementation of what they call CBDC, central currencies, something very important and big happening with digital currencies as well, because it's Taurus money with North Node, Rahu's technologies, anything to do with new inventions. So we can see some big developments in regards to the financial system. I'm afraid there might be big rise of prices again. They started the eclipses in Taurus started almost 2 years ago, and that's when we started having big inflation. That's the last one. Hopefully, that will hopefully indicate the last time danger of bigger inflation. But again, the prices can be rising as well. But for some people, that can be, especially if they invested on something before, that they've been working on something, they can see big financial reward, or the results, the material, actual, tangible results of their actions before, especially in regards to creating more security, financial, material, personal in their life. And the first eclipse, because it's the more powerful one, after all, it's a solar eclipse. When you look at the background, yes, it's in Libra, but at the constellation behind it, using the actual constellation, it's Virgo, the Virgin. So we need to use both the sign and the constellations. And if you notice, actually, the eclipse is happening right very close to the star Spica, which is the Virgin is depicted like an angel or a young girl with grains of wheat she's carrying. This is the harvest of the earth. So Spica is there in the grains and in one of the wings of the angels, where she's carrying the wheat. So if we have to look at the symbology, it can be quite literal, something to do in the world over the next 1 year, connected with grains, with the fruits of the earth, connected with, anything to do with food. Especially, let's talk about grains, because the actual symbol is a grain there. So there can be some very important developments in regards to that we have to, and we might probably notice. All right, so this is, and the other eclipse, looking at it the one of the lunar one, which is at 5 degree Taurus. Actually, if you look at the constellation behind, it's a bit funny, but it falls on the private parts of the ram, the constellation of the ram or the sheep, or the as it's actually is the private parts. And in ancient astrology, they said someone born with planets there might have a dirty mouth, meaning they talk, they swear a lot. But in this case, because it's private parts, we might watch out for some kind of scandal, maybe sex scandal that's happening over the next 4 or 5 months. Especially in October, it can become very potent. Something to do with, sex scandal, something to do with fertility. This is the private parts of the ram, of course, is about especially masculine fertility. But let's say all kind of fertility. So watch out for such kind of big topics coming out in the news. And of course, even in Vedic astrology, that part of the sky, the constellation is called Bharani, where the eclipse is happening. Bharani is actually a female sex organ. So whether it's a ram's one or a female, it rotates around the same topic. So again, something in those, either sex scandals or something to do with sexuality or to do with creation of reproduction in some way. So these are the topics I think can be watched out for. I'm sure I miss a lot of things, but this is the first thing that come off the top of my head. And now let's continue into the 12 signs. Let's start with Aries. And again, I ask you and urge you to check whether it's your ascendant sign, sun or moon. They are all important. Some people, I often feel most of the transits from my sun sign because I have many planets in Aries. Others can feel it from their moon sign, especially women or people born at night can feel it very strong. And the ascendant is for everyone. Everyone has to check their ascendant no matter what, because that's the actual beginning of the horoscope, only if you know your time of birth. So for Aries, the first eclipse is happening straight in their 7th house, the opposite house. And it's a solar eclipse. So some new beginnings can happen to you through your partnerships. There can be some big new change there over the next 6 months, because it's a solar eclipse, almost like a year. It can affect you for a year. Again, it might not happen exactly in October, but you have a year to see these big changes. And for some of you, it can indicate getting married. For some of you, can indicate getting divorced. For some of you, can indicate meeting a partner, very important personal or business partner, someone to collaborate with. And there is something karmic about that. It's almost like it's been predetermined. This is an eclipse, plus this eclipse is with the South Node. South Node is connected to past lifetimes and to the past in some way. So you might need to have to give up something in order to make space, like a relationship or some kind of a contract or agreement with another person, in order to make space for new such relationships, agreement that has been prearranged even in past lifetimes. If you meet someone new over the next 1 year, if you're an Aries, it's very likely that this will be someone you have connections from before you're born, or even from earlier this lifetime, someone from the past, some kind of coming back to you. It's South Node is definitely connected to past lifetimes and the early part of life. So watch out for such, not in a negative way, it can be very positive, like a soulmate, and the relationships can carry more spiritual vibe in them if they appear. This is South Node, or kind of more soul connection rather than physical meeting of the physical passions connection. But again, because it's an eclipse with the South Node, there is an energy of sacrifice or letting go, or someone leaving your life as a possibility. But in order to start new cycle in your relationships. And Aries who have planets or their sun or ascendant or moon around the 21st degree will feel this eclipse in a very life-changing way. That my sun is there at 23 degrees. So if you have your sun maybe from 17 to 25 degrees, 26 degrees, that's something that can really affect you. So let's see. So very important partnerships, relationships, something big change happening in the life of your partner if you're married already, or if you have someone in your life, But again, it carries the energy of something old going away, something new coming. So remember, it might feel a bit critical, a bit more stressful, especially around the days around the eclipse, because things are changing in a big way in your life, and it affects you very directly because the eclipse is exactly opposite your sign. So it can feel stressful a bit for Aries. Some big new chapter in their life, and it can affect them directly, like their own career, path in life, if it's their sun in Aries, if it's their moon, their personal life in a big way, place of living, the ascendant, even the health, the direction in life overall. But because it's from the opposite sign, there is an indication that it's somehow external circumstances. It's not always other people that can be triggering that. It can be an external circumstance that is triggering those changes in your life in a big way. Something independent of you that pushes you to make a big change, or you do it with another person in some way, or another person plays a role, but it's not necessarily just a person, it's something external of you. Now, the other eclipse areas, which is on the 28th, will be happening in your second house, and it's with Jupiter, and it's a lunar eclipse with Jupiter and the North Node, so it can give you something, but it's something that you've already started. It's full moon. You're going to see the results of previously done actions. Have you been investing in something? Have you been working hard for more security? Have you been planning or putting actions or in something to do with finances, money, security? Well, you can see the results now. You can, and whatever efforts you put, it can be good or bad results, so there can be some, if you've not been careful with your finances, or sometimes it's even beyond your own personal preferences or efforts, there can be a big shift in how your financial situation is. Hopefully, because it's with Jupiter, this eclipse, and with the North Node, which also North Node is like Jupiter and magnifies whatever planet it is with. Hopefully, because the North Node is in Aries but very close to the eclipse, it will give you financial increase of some sort, financial opportunity, financial growth, results of some previous actions. But again, eclipses can be disruptive, even with the North Node, and with Jupiter, there can be some shakeups there. Of course, the second house is teeth, face, your whole face overall, and it can give you, for example, it might make you focus on making some changes there, some important transformations. It can indicate changing your food, and also how you eat, your diet. It can indicate a big change in your diet, what you put in your mouth, what you consume or drink, eat, how you take care of your teeth, how they look, how your face looks. I know, some exercises, face yoga, whatever. Think about those things, and you'll notice possibly such themes happening around you. Now, Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising. Taurus, the first eclipse happens in your sixth house. It's a solar eclipse with the South Node in your sixth house. Is going to affect you possibly for a year ahead. Sometime in the next year, you can feel this activation. Definitely, it can indicate a huge shift in your health. Well, I hope that eclipse in your sixth house doesn't mean health problems, but if you've been neglecting health in some way, eclipses really want to put you on the right path. They really want to align you on the right karmic path. So if you've been in any way, maybe not having right posture, not eating the right way, maybe stressing too much, not giving yourself the right sleep, the right kind of exercise, there can be activation of something that triggers you to start doing that, to really pay attention for a year ahead on your health routines, how you take care of your health, how you eat, nutrition, if you exercise. This can be a great time to unlock the much healthier routine, for example, to start and to let go of bad habits, because this eclipse is with the South Node. Even though it's a solar eclipse, which means new beginnings, first there is the need to sacrifice something, to let go of something. So you might let go of some bad habits. Is it eating sugar? Is it smoking? Is it, I don't know, going to bed too late? Any kind of health routines, everyday routines that you have, you might become very much aware that you need to release it. And thankfully, the South Node will help you release it from your life. It's the tail of the snake which excretes. So you can excrete some bad habits, even some addictions to substances, which is the sixth house, is pharmaceutical substances of any sort. chemicals of any sort. It can be even almost like a detox period, but it also makes space with this new moon, the new solar eclipse, um, a space for new such kind of healthier habits. Um, it can be meditation for some of you, it can be exercise. And because it's in Libra, I would advise you, even if you want to start some exercise routine or whatever, to do it with other people. Maybe with a partner that you go running or walking, or whatever new health routine you want to do. On the other hand, the sixth house also indicates employment. So for a few Tauruses, for some Tauruses, employment can be changing, or some big shift can be happening there. There can be the theme of letting go of one job or one employee. Sixth house can be also your employee, so you might kind of empty or let go of certain employees that they can leave, or you might be dissatisfied with them and let them go. And you can replace them with new ones because it's a new moon after all, solar eclipse. So new such employees can come. Or also one employment, you might be, for example, made redundant, or quit a job, or certain project, and a new one can appear. There is the energy of the newness there. So I keep saying, even if something you have to sacrifice and let go in regards to your work, it might be some project you've been doing, it might be leaving an office, going to another office, it can be leaving employees, so it can be one job and starting a new job, for example. So this carries the energy of somehow your routines, daily routines and responsibilities and service that you do can be a big shift over the next 6 months there. And great if you do it consciously, if you change something, I don't know, renovate your office, or somehow let go, especially because the south node can be really good. It's an eclipse with the south node to release. Maybe you're taking on too many duties, and you don't have enough time to focus on a bigger project. So you might have to release some kind of, to make your job more balanced, some old duties on your work, to curtail them, to chop them off, to stop doing them, but to welcome in new ones, like a bigger project, more focused. Then, so that's the first eclipse on the 14th. Then the other eclipse directly affects you guys. Tauruses, it's happening right in your sign at 5 degrees. Anyone born in the first 10 degrees of Taurus, whether it's your sun, moon, or ascendant, so from 1 degree to 10 degrees in Taurus, they can feel the eclipse very strongly, especially around 5 degrees. But other Tauruses as well, but it might not be so life-changing. And this eclipse is with the Jupiter and with the North Node, which are known in astrology to be more beneficial. It tend to give you something. So, and it's a lunar eclipse, which means you're seeing the results of something. So you're wrapping something up, but you're receiving the rewards of it. It's like a harvest time. And the harvest seems to be quite good with Jupiter, with the North Node, because they give material results there. They can make you reap a lot. And it's Taurus, it can be even financial, but because if your Taurus is your ascendant, for example, it can be to do with your direction of your life. It can be the fulfillment of some personal action that you've started before, that you get rewarded for, you see the results of. But if it's the sun, it can be again with your career that you get some rewards, or because the sun in particular, if your sun is in Taurus, it's definitely to do with the big goals in your life. So they can be, for example, a promotion if you've been working towards, being noticed in some way, expanding your business, growing it if it's your own personal business. It can be reaping rewards from some project that you've been working on. And first house is always about your personal efforts. If it's your moon in Taurus that the eclipse is happening in, it can be reaping up or some boost to seeing the results, something to do with private property, with home, with place of living, with family, with important women in your life, with your mother, extended family. For example, I got pregnant within a few months of eclipses with the North Node on my moon. So for some of you, you gain something, though. Usually with the North Node, I hope for all of you, you gain something. But of course, it's an eclipse. You have to be careful, especially if it's your ascendant, sun, or moon around 5 degrees. For your health, it's always something to pay attention to, especially a few weeks around the eclipse. For your safety, So be more cautious around that time. Definitely there will be some big changes happening for those early born Tauruses, that transform their life in a big way. Like your status, your direction in life. It can be on so many different levels. If you're Taurus, where the eclipse is happening, that this affects you. Uh, that it's depending if it's your ascendant there or sun or moon, how it's going to affect you. But with the sun, there can be a huge change and big change with important men in your life. The father, something can happen. The father can change their life in a big way, or who knows. With relationships with bosses, with authority figures, or your own goals in life. There can be some not new, but you can be seeing the results of something that you've been working on, hopefully rewards in some way. And with the moon, as I said, it's more women or family or close emotional bonds that can go through a big shift in your life for the next, I say, 4 or 5 months. Now, Gemini, Sun, Moon, or Rising in Gemini. The first eclipse, it's happening, which is on the 14th of October in your fifth house, Gemini, and it's a solar eclipse with the south node. There can be over the next 1 year a big change in your love life. If you're at this stage in your life, if you're looking for a boyfriend or girlfriend or single, or even if you're not, there can be some big shift there. That eclipses always create very karmic and pivotal events in their life, they indicate. And this eclipse is with the south node. It can indicate south node is first about sacrificing or letting go of something. So you might have to let go of some outdated approaches towards love, to become almost like it will come to you even if you are passive, because solar eclipse is about new beginnings, but with the south node is passive energy. It's almost like your karma, past life karma, attracts it. If a new person appears in your life romantically for the next 1 year, it carries south node energy, which is almost like maybe you were married in a past lifetime. Maybe you had some other personal relationships in a past lifetime, or even in the earlier part of this life, that someone can come from your earlier part in life, romantically. But there is the possibility of the need for a sacrifice to end something, to release something, because it's with the south node. First, you have to do that. So there is this theme of even letting go of a romantic attachment or romantic pain that you've been carrying from before, and allowing the world, south node is let go and let God, and allowing the universe or God to take care of the rest. I remember when the previous eclipses were in Libra, the last Libra eclipse, which was 7 years ago, almost 7.5, it happened on a planet in my horoscope that was, for you it's in the fifth house of romance, directly related. For me, it fell on a planet connected to marriage. That's when I met my husband. And of course, definitely there is a sense of very spiritual connection, south node. And south node is you connect on the soul level as well. But I also had to let go of my previous marriage. So there is a sense of sacrifice romantically some of you might make, Geminis, while at the same time welcoming something that is kind of very fated romantically and very, let's say, connected to past lifetimes. But on another level, fifth house is children as well. For some of you, can be indicate a powerful new beginning connected to children, connected to pregnancies. It might involve some kind of sense of even a child coming back to you that is an old soul, south node, or child that is karmically connected to you in some way, a big karmic connection, for good or bad. There can be big change happening with your children in a way that the child is leaving home. Some big shift there. It's an eclipse, big fated events, children going to university, children starting a new phase in their life, because it's a new moon eclipse, so new beginnings. But there is the south node energy there. There is a spiritualizing energy, or the energy of first having to make a sacrifice. For example, if your child is starting a new chapter in their life, it might feel for you like loss, they're leaving or whatever. So there is this sense of loss that you have to deal with, not in a negative way, but anything big and new that is coming entails a kind of letting go of something, of the old status quo. There can be a big shift there connected with children and so on. Fifth house is your creative impulses, Gemini. So it can indicate that some new creative impulse comes, idea. This is something that you come up as your own original idea. You download it, divine inspiration. Fifth house is the house of intelligence, bright intelligence. Not intelligence in, I know the capitals of all the countries in the world, intelligence in inventing clever solutions to anything or something original that has never been created. That's the true intelligence. Intelligence is using your brain in a way that is smart, creative, unique. So there's this kind of, some of you might have powerful downloads with this fifth house activation this month and a few months ahead. I said it can be for a year. Eclipses will carry on in your fifth house. And the south node has the energy of, they describe it in as it's headless, so it does not involve even thinking. It's direct downloads. South node is the planet of channeling. When it's in the fifth house, which is direct kind of inspiration, some of you might have downloads directly from the spiritual world in some way about creative ideas. So I would advise you, especially around the time of this eclipse, have a pen and paper or write on your phone whatever ideas come to you. They might be direct download from the spirit world for you. And, it's something can, even without, if you can go into meditative state. Fifth house is in Vedic astrology the house of spiritual practices. It's not the 12th house, it's the fifth house, because you directly connect your creative intelligence to source. So if any one of you meditates, it might be a great idea, or does not meditate, it can be fantastic time now. Or some of you might start truly spiritual practice of some sort. And spiritual practices is not just meditating. It is connected to emptying your head and becoming an observer. But spiritual practice can be even walking. Spiritual practice can be mindfulness, can be forgiveness, learning to forgive, writing gratitude lists. Because the south node is a very spiritual influence. It's an eclipse in the fifth house, which is highly spiritual, big connection with source and inspiration. But because there is a south node, there is a sense that you might have to let go of some creative, something that you've been searching for or doing creatively till now. Let go of certain such projects, whether it's fifth house can be on business as well. So you can open yourself to new such opportunities that come. And because it's with the south node, you can almost be passive and it will come to you, whether it's a download or it will come as an opportunity to you creatively in some way, or as a business idea, or some kind of idea that comes to you. And you have to, just with the south node, you have to be the witness, notice it, and kind of, it's almost like it's karmically predetermined for you. You can't escape it, but you have to notice it and react to it. It's more passive, but, still involves participation eventually. Okay, and the other eclipse, Gemini, is happening which is on the 28th of October. It's a lunar eclipse. Effects will be 6 months. They can happen anytime in the next 6 months. It's happening in your 12th house. Oh, that's now, it's with the North Node and Jupiter is there. These are very psychic influences as well. Jupiter opens connection again to invisible realms. Is the higher mind. The 12th house is super psychic house. The North Node there, some of you can have super powerful intuition around that time. And for the next 6 months ahead is the last eclipse in your 12th house. But it's almost like this 12th house is naturally talks about losses, but the eclipse is one of gains because it's with the North Node, which gives gains, and with the Jupiter as well, which is blessing energy. So it talks almost like if you some loss, or if you let go of something, you end something, which is the energy of the 12th house, you'd gain so much more. Even on a material level, you'd gain. I know it sounds contradictory, but it's kind of, this 12th house is a house of losses or letting go. You let go of something, you release something in October, in November, the next few months after that. But you gain so much more. It's almost like your luck comes from there. Jupiter is with this eclipse. Your good fortune comes from you letting go of something. And this 12th house is definitely connected to addictions, to anything that we escape reality through, whether it's social media scrolling, whether it's there can be different addictions: sex addictions, food addictions, substances addictions. uh, so if you there might be this eclipse can help you. It's like you do a sacrifice for 100 days till the addiction usually loosens itself, and you receive some big gift, like a big blessing. It's the North Node. It's Rahu and Jupiter. They tend to give them the material level. They tend to open the door for the things we've really wanted. But it entails something giving up. So, and also you can become very passionate. Eclipse with the North Node allows you to be very passionate about getting rid of something that that you're being under its influence, that you're being weakened, so you release it and you receive a lot more. But also the 12th house can give you powerful spiritual insights, again, spiritual downloads, intuition, even direct interaction with your loved ones that are departed, with invisible worlds, with spirit guides. Some of you might have mystical experiences where you tap into opening communication with spirits, and your dreams can be very vivid, a bit disturbed even around the eclipse, but they can give you an insight into the future, because Jupiter is the planet of future there with the North Node. They can give you even indications about how to find wealth or how to find success or your direction in life in some way. So watch out your dreams. They can have a very meaningful very meaningful influences, because most of the time our dreams are more like a processing of daily experiences. But around, especially the eclipse, the end of October, the beginning of November, there can be some direct messages from love departed ones, or your spirit guides, or your higher self, call whatever you want. Or even if you have a psychic reading or dive into astrological studies, which is 12th house, it's very mystical, astrological, psychological studies, you can have incredible revelations and downloads and realizations. um, like you can pierce through certain mystery, you can pierce through your subconscious, develop forgetfulness, which is the 12th house from past lifetimes, and uh, you can pierce and or realize why you're doing something, and help release whatever that underwater stones that you're tripping on are. So even working with a psychologist can be extremely beneficial and give powerful results for you Geminis. And the 12th house is faraway countries, places of living. For some of you, it can even indicate relocating to foreign country where you can gain more. The eclipse is with Jupiter with South Node. Or if you have some trip abroad or in a faraway place that is unfamiliar to you. I don't know, if you're from Thailand, you can go to the States. If you're from States, you can go to India or or Australia. Uh, Faraway place. This eclipse can indicate something important can be coming to you from foreign places, from foreign people, from unfamiliar places. Even if you have some kind of, let's say, even investments that you've made abroad or with foreign people, because it's a full moon, it's to give results about something. It can indicate that you see the results of those investments or those interactions you've had, and it might be quite gainful as well. uh, and of course 12th house is connected to secrets, not just mysteries and the invisible, which can be, as I said, extremely healing for you now. uh, but it can be connected to secrets, normal secrets, that you find out something. Jupiter illuminates with the truth something that was hidden, and that can change your life, hopefully for the best, or some missing piece of information. Mercury, no, Mercury is not there in this eclipse, but yeah. But of course 12th house, it can be something that you are not aware of, that you become aware of, whether it's from your subconscious or something that was happening behind your back. uh, and yeah, and as I said, really powerful time to let go of and to release some bad habits, um, and you gain a lot from that. If you're Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, the first eclipse on the 14th of October, Cancer, is happening in your fourth house. Family, home, place of living is the first eclipse of this kind. Uh, it is happening with the South Node. And in the fourth house, it's a solar eclipse, which means new beginnings. You're gonna have a few more eclipses in your fourth house over the next year and a half. But that's the first of its kind, and especially Cancers that are, born around the 21st degree of Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising. I would say from the 15, 16 degrees till the 26th degree of Cancer can feel it very strongly because the eclipse will square their Sun, Moon, or Ascendant. But for all Cancers, it means that for a year and a half ahead, there can be some big shifts happening in your personal life. Fourth house is family. Fourth house is place of living. It doesn't have to happen immediately in October. These eclipses have 1 year, something, it's a solar eclipse, 1 year influence. So you might have to come back to this video even a few months later. But mark my word, you might relocate, move to a new place. Some big change can happen in your family. A new member arriving or a member leaving sometimes. This eclipse is with the South Node. South Node is sometimes about losses. So there is this energy too, even though the new moon eclipse is about new beginnings, but there is the need also for you to let go of something because there is the South Node. There is the South Node that you might, for example, have to let go of previous place you've lived, or country that you're attached to, or a place that you're attached to, or a property you're attached to, or family tradition of some sort that you release, but something new is entering your life because it's a solar eclipse. What they wanted to know, something will be taken, something will be given. For some of you, it can indicate starting even buying property over the next 1 year. But again, because South Node is there can be the theme of losing, letting go of something. Parents, this is the axis of parents as well. So there can be some big changes with parents or extended family in your life. And also because South Node is very much connected to past lives and to things from the past. Something new, because it's a new moon eclipse, can appear, but it's somehow almost like karmic, or it's somehow almost connected to past lifetimes. It's connected to your personal life, but it's almost like it might be a family member that appears that you're connected from past lifetimes. It might be a family situation that you have to resolve that hasn't been resolved, or that rises its head, that's connected to the earlier part of your life, for example. So expect there's changes, whether for, everything is always has a silver lining. Eventually it's all for good. You just have to trust in the process, because eclipses indicate things that are, karmic, that we've been predestined for. So just, and the South Node carries energy of passivity. Be an observer, the witness, the silent witness. Watch what's unfolding and then react. Don't try to initiate the things first. What will be. Let go and let God. Family, personal life, some big change in your daily circumstances as well, and even you in your emotional state. Then the other eclipse that is happening on the 28th of October, Cancers, will be in your 11th house. That eclipse is luckier. It's with Jupiter and the North Node. These two tend to give us things. But it's a full moon eclipse. It's active for about 6 months. So there is something here that there will be a big focus in October, in November, even December, the next 3-4 months after, on friendships, the 11th house. I think those some new friendships can appear as well, even though it's full moon, or friends can introduce you to some new opportunities, people that you already know, people that you in your environment, acquaintances, not just very close friends. They can be acquaintances, they can be workmates, they can be from your social group, peers in some way. They can introduce you to some opportunities, because the North Node, Jupiter is planet of opportunities. North Node is of material growth. 11th house group is also income and gains. So watch out what's coming to us as opportunities from others around you. If you've been working on some project already, 11th house is our goals and dreams and wishes and our gains. If you have a business, this will be the gains of the business. If you work for someone, this will be your salary and bonuses. Or recognition from others. Gains is not only material gains, it's also recognition from our peers, from society. If you've been working on some project or maybe for some title and honor, now can be the time over the next few months that you receive those gains. You can get a PhD or a master's degrees or some title, but it's something that you've already started. Or if you've been doing a business and changes and whatever, you can your gains, you can see the results of those changes that you've been doing in your business, whether it's whatever gains it is there. They can be increased, for example, in your bonuses, in your salary, increase in your income overall, because it's with Jupiter, it's in Taurus. These are all material influences. With the North Node, especially material, Jupiter is about expansion, increase. But if you've been trying hard to, receive more recognition or gains, this can be the eclipse that actually gives it for you, and it tells you it's close. You're completing a project, and you're seeing uh, you know, the applause or the recognition from society, or you're completing some long-term goal you've been working on. It's coming close towards an end. Uh, or you're seeing some results there in the 11th house, gains and rewards in some way. That's the last eclipse there, but also again something very big can be happening with your social environment, some big changes like some people leaving. It's a full moon, which means endings, completion. Something has reached its full potential, so some friendships leaving, but because it's with Rahu, carries new energy as well, new coming as well. So some big shifts there in some way. Cancers. So yeah, that's where those two eclipses are affecting you the strongest. Personal life, fourth house, and the other one is your social environment, who is around you, your goals, seeing the results of goals, your gains, thinking in those lines. If you're Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, the first eclipse on the 14th of October is happening in your third house, and it's a new moon eclipse, which indicates new things entering your life, but it's with the south node. It indicates some kind of sacrifice. And the third house is connected, Leos, about your social circle. Well, it's one of the social houses. Who are you? The people that you meet daily, the familiar environments around you. You might have to let go of certain familiar environments. Sometimes I've even seen relocations happen with activations of the third house, ninth house action. And it can indicate also, because it's with the south node, going back to people you've known from the past, but starting it anew. It's new moon. Resuming or restarting some friendships from before, or some acquaintances, or such from, if new ones appear that you don't know at all. This can be from past lifetimes because it's with the south node. People can appear as associates, as collaborators, or as associates, third house, that you have a connection either from early in your life or from the past, from past lifetimes. They can be, if you do some new associations with people, they can have a more spiritual undertone. Or you can start some new projects in a small group environment. Third house is small group with a few people. That can be over the next 1 year. You can start some project over the next 1 year that's connected to some more, the south node is something that you want to give back, something more spiritual project, or a project that is more of the soul, more refined, that is connected to giving back to society, that is connected to charity in some way, like a spiritual, offering. So it's not necessarily just to be starting a new project for spiritual projects, but definitely if you are starting a new project in a small group environment, and third house is very commercial house of business, of transactions, you might be starting such kind of new things if you're Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising over the next few months, especially October things, and November coming to those ideas will come to you. They can be the need to sacrifice something, for example, and it's almost like these ideas will come to you. You don't need to initiate them. You can be the passive side, but others can offer them to you to collaborate with someone to do some new project, uh, and or even third house is the house of self-made wealth and business. You can do some initiatives that eventually bring more wealth to you, more self-made wealth, by using your own skills, by using your own uh, knowledge. Third house is about the skills, the knowledge that we have. But because it's with the South Node, either it needs to have more of a spiritual uh, slant towards it, or it needs to be something that you have to make some sacrifice. Maybe you sacrifice from your spare time, you might have sacrificed something from uh, your comfort to do this project, to start this initiative. And of course, it carries past life energy, or energy of earlier life, where you resume something that you've maybe always wanted to do as a project, or some skill that you want to learn, some new skill. Now can be a great time to learn new skills for you, Leos. Um, but maybe something that you wanted to do long ago and you could never do, or it might be a skill that you actually pick up from a past lifetime. Maybe you've always had a good ear for music, but you never learned an instrument. That's maybe you're a good musician in a past lifetime, and now this new moon eclipse with the South Node in your third house, it can kind of start doing something that you were good at in the past, so that you never completed some project that you wanted to do it in your early life, or or some skill to learn, or in your early previous lives, that you pick up now. And what else is third house? Third house is about short trips and journeys. I would advise you, especially around the day of the eclipse, around the 28th, don't take, it's not good to take any trips on the day of eclipse, or start something exactly on the day of eclipse. Wait 3-4 days after it for the energies to settle. But new ideas will come to you in regards to your everyday life, in regards to writing something. Some written project can come to you as an idea, some written or spoken, or something to do with media, videos, media, social media. This is the third house. So you can do some project. Third house is marketing, advertising. It's very business house, Leo. So some new ideas can come there. Some very important developments can be happening over for a year ahead. And there is this energy of the South Node. Maybe something that you wanted, or something that you before, or something that is almost like fated for you to happen. And some kind of a sacrifice might be made. And also with the third house, it's siblings and relatives. There can be a big change there with sibling, with relatives, some big important developments happening in their life, some new beginnings as well, or some, new beginnings always entail endings as well. Or third house is also to do with your everyday reality that is shifting, your daily, plans that are changing around you. Your familiar environment is changing, as I said, even the people around you. It can be good for learning new skills, as we said. It can be good for starting new projects. And even if they're business projects, you might have to sacrifice something first, but there is this opportunity there. And anything to do with social media, and first you might have to clear up a bit, like South Notice, to release something. So maybe you might get rid of certain friends or acquaintances or connections on social media, or even close down some social media accounts, but you start new one, or you start new kind of ways of interacting with others, not necessarily through social media. It can be a great time to make a sacrifice and close social media accounts, so you can have more different kind of interactions, for example. But it's all about communication, interactions, about transportations and vehicles. Some big change can be happening there, and your everyday plans as well. Then the other eclipse, Leos, is happening in your 10th house. Especially those of you who have sun, moon, or rising around the first 10 degrees of Leo will feel it the strongest. The eclipse is happening right at 5 degrees in Taurus. It's the last eclipse in your 10th house. Leos, the earlier Leos around 5 degrees, they can be really life-changing for them. But the ancient said that when there is an eclipse in your 10th house, you can become like a king. So it can be like a promotion for work for some of you. It can be becoming a boss of some sort, changing place of work, changing career. When there was an eclipse with the North Node in my 10th house from the ascendant years ago, I always tell the story, but within those few months of the eclipse, from being one person working alone, I hired 15 people to work for me, and suddenly I was in the position of a boss because the eclipses with the North Node, it can shoot you off in a different direction very quickly in regards to your career and social status and your worldly responsibilities. It can increase them. It's with the North Node, it's with Jupiter as well to expand. Some of you can be promoted, some of you can be grow their company or business in some way. Some of you can even change their career in a totally new direction. The North Node has this energy of newness as well. But because it's also a full moon is always about also something that we have started already, and we're going to see the results about it now. So you can see the result in regards if you're working on some project that you become noticed with, that you become recognized with, that you're going to wrap it up over the next 6 months, that you're putting final touches to it, or that you're seeing the results of it, or especially in October, November, that it's like a catalyst, this eclipse, that really changes the social status, say from married to single, from single to married, from I think this eclipse will give rather than take, as I said, because rather than from employed to unemployed, more like from unemployed to employed, or from this position to that position. So also it can give you more opportunities for worldly success in some way, to be noticed and to have more impact over others. Also, there can be some big changes, Leos, with authority figures. Maybe even don't do it exactly on the day of the eclipse, but if you reach out to someone in authority with power or influence over you, you can receive some blessings there, because Jupiter is part of the eclipse over the next 6 months. So dare to approach authorities, people in power after this eclipse. You can gain from it. In Jupiter North Node, it's a gainful influence. Especially if you've been working hard towards some goal or towards some social position or at your career, you can see now the rewards and the results from that. But some big shifts there with career, social status, or parental. This is the parental axis, the 10th house, some big change. Sometimes eclipses can also bring stressful crisis experiences there. But I pray that all your parents are good and well, but some big change in the life of the parents can happen as well. So this is for Leo. Now we go to Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. In October, the first eclipse happens on the 14th of October, and Virgo, it's happening right in your second house. Oftentimes, if you're Virgo Sun, you would have some planets in Libra, like Venus and Mercury. If you tend to have Venus or Mercury in Libra, now you're going to feel it very powerfully. But anyway, this eclipse on the 14th is the first of its kind since many years in your second house. Eclipses in the second house will last for a year and a half ahead for you, for a year and a bit longer. So it's the first of its kind, and this eclipse lasts for about a year itself. So it's telling us, it's a sign. There is an eclipse in your second house, Virgo, a sign that over the next 12 months, year and a half, there will be some big changes and shifts in your financial situation. You can let go of certain, and this eclipse in particular is with the South Node, but it brings something new. It's a solar eclipse. Sun and Moon get together, Mother, Father energy to create something new. But with the South Node is the planet of release and loss and letting go. So how can we experience that? It can indicate that you have to let go of something that you attach to, that brings you security till now, that brought you comfort and security, or just your comfort zone. You might have to let go of your comfort zone in order to gain more. So it can entail that in the coming month or a few months, you might have to sacrifice something material or whatever gave you sense of comfort and stability. But you'll make path and you'll make way for new things to come into you, for new income, for new sense of material stability that you'll build over the next few years. I can give you an example. When I had the South Node eclipse in my second house years ago, that's when I let go of my whole life in England and all my possessions that I had, that over 16 years that I built. all my security, everything familiar. Second house is connected to security, familiarity. I had to let go everything, every precious possession. I just left it there, and I moved to be in the States with my partner. And I was like, I've got nothing now. I let go of such sense of stability, but it came triple over the year after that eclipse. It came in a triple way. So I wish the same to you. You can close one door, the life can close one door of security, emotional, psychological, material, but will open a new source of abundance for you. There can be some important information that comes to you. This eclipse is with Mercury, the planet of information, in regards to security, financial matters. But also, definitely some new opportunity can come to you. That will create different financial stability in the future. And second house is not about just money, it's about self-worth. You can be starting to build. It can be like, first eclipses can cause a crisis on your self-worth due to something, on how much what is your value, what you're worth, what you deserve. It can be something can trigger you, like, am I deserving, am I worthy, why? And South Node is a planet of doubt. You might be doubting first, but it's going to remove all the South Node removes all the ideas that you have about yourself and your self-worth that are undermining you, that are unreal. And it's going to leave you with more realistic, let's say, sense of what your self-worth is. So, for example, this eclipse can indicate changing prices, changing your salary, changing your approach to savings, changing where you put your savings as well. And the South Node carries energy of the past, maybe something in past lifetimes. Some opportunities can open to you that are connected to something that you've done in the past lifetime. Did you help someone? Did you rob someone? That will very much determine what is this eclipse bringing. Whether it's in your early life, did you abuse your material resources? Did you help people with them? So this is carries karmic energy. Whatever opportunities will come to you financially, but whatever it is, trust that is for the highest good of the soul. It's a very spiritual eclipse with the South Node. It will take you down financially and in sense of stability, where your soul is truly wants to be, where your soul will truly be more happier. Second house is also connected to family. There can be some big changes connected to family happening in your life, to nestling family and so on. Like, I don't know, sometimes people want to start families. Another thing that the second house rules is face, mouth, teeth, the appearance of the face, this side here, the beauty, the money maker, as they call it, the money maker. So it's, I don't know who says that. I hope I'm not using it in the wrong way. But there can be indication that something is changing. You might change your teeth, for example. It might do some important work on your teeth over the next 1 year, whatever. You might let go, take out some teeth. South Node is about sacrifice. Take out some teeth and put some veneers, Or it can be something about changing the face, or some realizations that you have about your face and your appearance, and letting go of one types of appearance, changing, second house is also how you eat, what you put in your body. An eclipse there can create some crisis because of how you eat. So you might have to sacrifice sugar, sacrifice meat, or whatever, or experiment, try different things to see what it is that, oh my God, it's September 22nd to 22. This is so lucky, and it's happening right when I'm talking about Virgo. I have a very good feeling about you, Virgos, especially talking about changing your diet in some way, or how you eat, what substances you put in your mouth. You can sacrifice and let go of smoking, drinking, of taking some other things that you think nourish you and give you security and sense of stability. You can, South Node allows you to excrement it, allows you to release it and let it go, to make space for different new type of diet there. new, healthier way of nourishing yourself, calming yourself down. This is all qualities of the second house. Then if then the second eclipse, Virgos, oh, I'm so happy that I saw the sign for you. For someone it's kind of carries good energy, Virgos. Then the other eclipse, which is on the 28th of October, and you're gonna feel it very strongly in October and November and a few months after that, is happening in your ninth house, in Taurus. It's a very lucky house, by the way. And so it's not gonna directly affect you or whatever, but let's see, it's the last of its eclipses in Taurus. There's not gonna be for 7, 8, 9 years eclipses in Taurus. In your ninth house, that can entail some, often I've seen it can indicate traveling abroad, relocating abroad. That is possible for those of you who want foreign adventures. And this eclipse is a lucky one. It's with Jupiter, it's with the North Node. So maybe there can be an opportunity for you to travel somewhere, or to go to organize some educational project, but it's usually something that you're already aware of, that you've been thinking about. It's a full moon, which means something comes to fruition. You see the results of it. And this eclipse, definitely, if you're a teacher, if you're someone who does seminars, who is someone who's a student who learns, it can open doors for you to learn something that is very pivotal for your future. It's going to open windows for you. So if there is an opportunity for you in the next 6 months to study something, to take a course, higher knowledge of some sort, whether it's to do a PhD or master's degrees or enter a school of your liking, this eclipse can indicate that things will align there in the next 3 to 6 months. Or eclipse can indicate sudden changes of a major if you're studying somewhere, sudden changes if you can decide to pre-qualify, maybe come back to finish some education, or something you've wanted to do before, or maybe you're already studying. It means the completion of those course of studies and mastering it. Or if you're a teacher yourself, it can indicate that you'll gain a lot through teaching, if you're a teacher, advisor, counselor, it's all ninth house activities, or even something to do with legal matters. If you're in some legal course, the judge can be more beneficial towards you. The legal battle might be ending. It's telling you in the next 3 to 6 months it will end. And because it's with Jupiter in the North Node, very likely in your favor. Legal matters, travels, we said it's something important can be happening there. Ninth house is connected to the father figure. There can be some big changes also in the father figure. Others can meet a teacher that's very fated for them, or they can have some ninth house is the higher knowledge that comes to you from above. So downloads, inspirations, seeing the future, getting excited about the future and planning about it. Or life somehow aligning you to take the right path into the future. That is your Dharma. Ninth house is a Dharmic house. Dharma means something that brings you joy and happiness to your soul. Not so much materially, but your soul will be jubilant. So somehow this eclipse can align you to the right direction. Like eclipses are there, like my teacher always described it, like a train going in one direction, and it's this derailment or needing to change the rails. That's what an eclipse is, this shifting. And you see how the train shakes a lot during the not derailment, but changing of the rails. It shakes a lot, but the eclipse wants to put us on the right path in life. And this ninth house is very much about Dharma. Where is it you're heading that's going to be the best for you? Your higher self will give you signs. You might receive omens, like very clear omens. Watch out around the eclipse itself from higher self. But also it can indicate initially some kind of an existential crisis, because you're noticing that something in the future will be changing, that your plans for the future can be changing. And this existential crisis can feel like uncertainty about the future, fear about the future, especially very close to the eclipse. But then the change of and because it's something, every time something very new and different comes, we are worried. But somehow divine intuition is leading you, Virgos. This ninth house where God through which God leads us through inspiration, intuition, through science, for things to be synchronicity, to align correctly. So yeah, and as I said, if there is a possibility to travel abroad or anything like that, or to study or to teach, that can be something that this eclipse says there can be gains through that and some opportunities there. Now, if you're Libra rising, sun, moon, or ascendant in Libra, the first eclipse Libra is directly affecting you. Especially if you have your sun, moon, or ascendant from around 16, 17 degrees in Libra to around 26 degrees in Libra. Check out in your transit, in your personal chart. I have a birth chart calculator, but that's like my husband has 18 degrees ascendant in Libra. That eclipse is at 21, it's within 3 degrees. So the ones that will be affected the most is at 21 degrees, but everyone close degrees will feel it, and all Libras will feel it because that's the first eclipse in Libra since 7-8 years now. So Libra, what can we say? We have to look at it whether it's your sun, moon, or ascendant. It's definitely about powerful new beginnings, this eclipse, and it's showing you that in the next year and a half, Libras will have a lot of changes. Eclipses always, when they appear in your sign and they're starting, it was the first of three, approximately four eclipses in Libra. 4 eclipses, yeah, if not 5, for a year and a half ahead. It indicates your life is about to change big way. Maybe not immediately from the 14th of October, but if you're those degrees that are close to the eclipse already, from October it's happening. But in the next 1 year, Libras, you're being told to prepare powerful new beginnings. This eclipse in particular is about new beginnings because it's the sun and moon coming together, female, male energy coming together to create something new. But it has the energy of South Node as well. And there is the need to let go of something. If it's your ascendant, to let go of an old lifestyle. A whole new, it's almost like eclipse in your sign. Such a powerful solar eclipse. It's like the snake shedding its skin. North Node and South Node that cause the eclipses, the snakes, they are indicated in ancient astrology as snakes. And they say when there is eclipses in your sign, whether it's your sun, moon, or ascendant sign, you're shedding your skin. And the South Node is the tail of the snake, where you excrete, definitely letting go of your old skin. It can indicate your life totally changes, whether you want it or not. There is a bit of a passive energy there. South Node is you're almost just like the witness. You're sitting, watching, and things that it's been meant to happen to you, it will happen. It doesn't put you in the role of the victim, don't think that, but it's something that is fated for you to happen, predetermined from past lifetimes and previous actions, in a sense. So you have to be assume, let go, and let God. Let go of trying to control the situations. There is new beginnings. Just slide into those new beginnings. Slide off out of your old skin. Slide into those new beginnings. Let the river of events carry you down. It can feel scary. It can feel every time there is the change of the rails of the train of your life. The train shakes. It feels raw. You're shedding the old skin, which is tough, and you have very sensitive new skin, which can, especially around the time of the eclipse, you can feel uncertain about the future. South Node can make you feel uncertain, fearful, looking back at the past, trying to hold on to the past, but it will go away. But again, some of the biggest changes I've seen people do in their lives is when the nodes affect your ascendant, sun, or moon. They can be the theme of sacrificing something from the past because of the South Node, letting go of, if it's your ascendant, an old persona, an old role that you've been playing till now, because you're entering a new role into your life, a new direction of your train. Of course, if your ascendants and the moon are very close to those degrees, be careful a bit for your health, especially a week before and after the eclipse, because when the layers are shifting in your whole reality, the body feels it, like the immune system weakens. We are more susceptible to, every time something big changes, just like when seasons change, our immune system becomes weaker in transitional periods, just like you're in transitional periods now, for especially around this eclipse. Something big is shifting in your life. So you're letting go of something. If it's your son, you might be letting go of a male figure, father figure in your life, or career. old one that you're releasing, because a new one is coming, a new direction in your life, a new inspiration will appear, whether immediately or over the next year while the eclipses carry on in your sun sign if it's Libra. A new sense of self, direction. But there is the sense of sacrificing something. There is a sense of fatedness, and there is a sense that you don't have much control over it, because Ketu, as I said, the South Node, when it creates eclipses, it's more like life leads you there because it's put in action from past lifetimes. I remember when I had an eclipse on my sun 9 years ago with the South Node. It was a new moon eclipse like you're gonna have in whether it's your sun. I got married that year. Big changes happen in eclipses. You can get married, especially if they're on your sun ascendant sign or moon sign. This is year, whether it's South Node or North Node, of getting married, sometimes getting divorced. These big things in life that happen, Libras. And I got married that year, but it felt like a sacrifice. Like I wasn't, it felt like it's very karmic. I wasn't ready to get married. But I felt like it just, life took me there, and I couldn't say no. And there was no other. It's like I said, okay, God, I kept getting signs that I have to do it, and I was like, should I not? And I felt like, okay, this is a sacrifice, maybe from a past lifetime. I have to do that to complete something. But I'm not saying this will happen to you, but sometimes there is this theme of almost like you're sitting and watching your life happening in front of you. And that's the way to do it. You have to take the role of the silent witness. This is very meditative practice where you're just able to be the witness within, because things will develop in your life, and they can be amazing things depending on your past life karma and early life karma, because South Node brings that karma to you. But it will bring new beginnings through your past karma. It will feel to you like something new, but it definitely is something that's been put in action from previous lives. So watch it. It can bring to you relationships that are very fated, new beginnings in some way, because then soon will start eclipses. They started already in your 7th house. It can bring, if it's your moon in Libra, for example, it can indicate very new beginning in place of living, or some big change with your mother, or important female roles, or important emotional connections in your life, whether it's romantic or whether it's just emotionally connected to friends, that a big change is happening there. It can be bringing you connections that are very karmic from past lifetimes, more spiritual as well. It can also indicate letting go of, as I said, with the ascendant and with the moon, it can be letting go of certain emotional attachments to make space for new such ones. But there is the thing of letting go of something, shifting that, as I said, the skin changing it all. All right, so big things for you, Libra. Be prepared. Just if you're around 21 degrees sun, moon, or ascendant, something big will change. Just be, don't freak out. Try to keep South Node is like for a year and a half almost ahead. Be more spiritual. Be more. Don't be so rash. Just observe what's happening. The current of life will take you where you're supposed to go. Now, the other eclipse, Libras, is going to happen in your 8th house. And it's on the 28th of October. It's going to hold for 6 months after that. So it can happen anytime, from October and the next 4, 5, 6 months. The 8th house and it's a Rahu eclipse, the North Node eclipse, the mouth of the dragon, where you're taking with it, you're receiving something material. And it's with Jupiter. It's also going to give. Jupiter gives, expands. So 8th house is you can receive something big through other people's finances or resources. Maybe your partner over the next few months, their financial state can change, that they have more finances. Or if you have a business partnership with another, or rely on clients' money, or rely on government or some insurance or inheritance, or rely on any kind of, what's that called, like alimony from a partner, or rely on from the government some money, or hoping for, you've been trying to get a mortgage, or get money from someone, sell them something, it's other people's money. Well, now it can happen over the next 3-4 months, because this eclipse is about getting results. It's a full moon, so you're seeing the results. If you've invested in something, 8th house is investment, whether it's your marriage, money, mutual as a partner. If you invested in stock market, 8th house is very much the stock market, because you're putting money with other people in some mutual money, putting it together, and it's very volatile. It changes all the time, just like the eighth house. So it can be sudden gains, for example, from others, or getting a, if you've been trying to get money more from clients, you receive it, or receiving some benefit through using other people's resources or talents, benefiting in some way by engaging other people's knowledge, other people's skills, other people's talents in some way. Or you can receive over the next few months some gains through, as I said, through the government, through alimony, through another person, through clients, through, unfortunately, sometimes it's through inheritance. Eighth house is the house of death as well, not your own, but someone can pass away and leave you an inheritance as well. So it can activate death. I'm not saying you'll die, but around you, someone, hope, it's, unless there is another eclipse happening right very close to some important point in your horoscope, like sun, moon, or ascendant, it's usually not a very close person, but you can benefit through, or you can benefit in some way through crisis. Crisis is happening, might be in the world or in your personal life, but you're gonna benefit. This eclipse says materially or in some other way, you can gain through that. So, or if you, as I said, you've put money in the stock market, suddenly some big shift can happen there as well. So watch out for this, some change in a good way as well, because I think this eclipse is with Jupiter in the North Node. I think it's more gonna give than take, give much more from another through others and so on. Or if you've done already some investments, they can pay off now. Eighth house is also psychological breakthroughs and the house of transformation. So as you see, first eclipse is happening in Libra, which is, eclipse in Libra is caused by the snake, Rahu, Ketu. It's the big nagas that eclipse the sun and the moon, which is already about shedding your skin and big transformation. But the eighth house is the house of the nagas. Is naturally where the other eclipse is happening, is naturally the house of transformation. So here again, we have the theme for Libras: transform, transform, transform. And it's on a very psychological level as well. Sometimes it can be through a big shock. Both the eclipses and the eighth house carry energy of big shock. And this big shock can suddenly, for some of you, even open your eight chakras and psychic abilities and intuition, because the eighth house rules chakras. Eighth house rules all the apertures in the body that connect us with the invisible worlds. And these are the chakras, of course. But it's like, even if it's a shock, even if it's not, you transform, you change after that. You cross over the bridge and you're not stuck in some limbo like before. If things were not moving till now, they'll start moving. This eighth house really quickly churns the energy, spins it like a tornado, and big changes happen very fast when there is eclipses. The eighth house is also the house of getting pregnant, pregnancies, conceptions, lives and deaths, but you gain through both in some way, the North Node and Jupiter. You gain through other people's involvement, you gain through other people's participation. That's the last of those eclipses, guys. After that, all the eclipses in your eighth house finish. All right, so that's for Libra. Let's carry on. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, October. The first eclipse on the 14th of October is happening in your 12th house, Scorpios. Usually that might pass by unnoticed because the 12th house is an invisible house, but often many people who are born with Scorpio Sun tend to have either Venus or Mercury in Scorpio. So that can really affect you if you happen to have anything like Venus or Mercury around the 21st degree, or from 16 degrees till 27 degrees in 26 degrees in Libra. But otherwise, for all Scorpios, an eclipse in the 12th house is house of letting go. So that can be, and that's the first of many eclipses, of 4 more eclipses in your 12th house over the next year and a half. So that can indicate that it's a period for you to release something, because the eclipse is happening with the South Node, which is the tail of the dragon, where you excrete something, where you let go of something from the past, and especially unhealthy habits, unhealthy addictions. 12th house is definitely connected to the underwater stones that we trip on, that we put ourselves there. So if you've been in the clutch of some addiction, it doesn't have to be just physical, it can be psychological addiction, or obsession with someone or something. This can be the start of a period where you release that attachment, and where you are able to let it go, to excrete it like the South Node does, which will open new opportunities, because it's a new moon eclipse, which means opens new opportunities to get deeper in touch with your subconscious, to get deeper in touch with spirit. The 12th house is the most spiritual house, where you connect with your intuition, with invisible knowledge, with downloads. So, especially around the time of the eclipse, there can be some powerful insights and realizations that come to you. South Node is a passive energy, almost like you stay there and you download something and you realize something. If you work with a psychologist, or if you're working on yourself through astrology, through reading psychology, it can be a pivotal catalyst to realize something that you are stuck in a certain pattern, you've been stuck for a long time, to realize the deep roots of that situation and why it's like that, and to just get disconnected from it, to release it. So it can be very liberating for many Scorpios, liberating from attachment, liberating from past karma. It's very much about release. 12th house is about past lifetimes. South Node, that causes the eclipse, is about past lifetimes. You can release a lot of karma that you've been almost like put in prison psychologically, emotionally, in previously, and which allows you to release that, to be free from this. That's on the positive side. But the 12th house is also connected to secrets, to hidden, to mystical. And some secrets can come to the surface that were buried. It can be psychological realizations, like I said, but it can also be you finding out some news that you were not aware of, because this eclipse is with Mercury, the planet of information, of news. A missing piece of information can come to the surface that you become aware of. That changes in some big way the circumstances in your life. Uh, it can also be the 12th house is mystical studies and knowledge, like astrology, like psychology, anything that taps into the invisible worlds, the deep roots, anything that touches to the even to the departed loved ones. You can even have dreams around the eclipse that tell you something about the past, or explain something to you about the future that is coming. Messages from angels, from guardian angels, from your higher self, from departed loved ones. But this eclipse, there is the need to sacrifice something, to let go of something, because it's in the 12th house with the South Node, but it also opens new doors for you. New doors to, as I said, to deeper intuition, to clearer psychic vision, to being more in touch with your soul. And also it can indicate new beginnings connected to studying occult, astrology, psychology. It's fantastic time over the next year, because this eclipse will have long-lasting influence, to dive into such studies that are considered mysterious or not so tangible. Again, as I said, studies of the soul, of the heart, of the spirit. So if you can start studying astrology or anything like that, it can be very positive. Um, it can also indicate new beginnings connected to foreign lands, faraway places. The 12th house rules those unfamiliar places, whether it's a new state or it's usually even a culture that you're not familiar with, like a relocation there, a trip that changes your life there, or even connections with people from a very different social background, new such ones that you're connected through past lifetimes or through the previous part of your life, the early part of your life. That some new beginnings are initiated in your life through either people you knew from past lifetimes, or very early part in your life, or through people that are far away from you in some way, and different social status, different background that feels very unfamiliar to you. But this can open some new vistas and spiritual revelations for you, and opportunities in some way. Okay, that's the 12th house eclipse that is first happening. The second eclipse, which is on the 28th of October, and it's a lunar eclipse which lasts for about 6 months, is going to be happening directly opposite your sign, Scorpio. This one you're going to feel stronger. especially if you're Scorpio born in the first 10 degrees from 0 till 10. The eclipse is happening at 5 degrees Taurus in your seventh house. So especially if your ascendant is 5, 6, 7, or 3, 4, 5 degrees, you feel it very strongly. But that's the last of this type of eclipses in your seventh house. So for some of you, when an eclipse happens on the axis of the ascendant sign, if your ascendant is Scorpio, or your moon sign if it's Scorpio, even the sun sign, often it's known that it can be, this is when fated relationships happen. Relationships, people that you are meant to meet, partnerships that you create that are meant to happen, that will create new opportunities in your life, because this eclipse is with Jupiter and with the North Node, which is about giving you something, which is about receiving something. For example, how it can play out: you can meet someone that is a long term partner for many years ahead. A new person can appear in your life, whether it's romantically or whether it's like a friendship or business partnership that you can start right now over the next few months as well, that will bring opportunities to you. So stay open to that. But some big shifts in your relationship status are very likely with this eclipse, especially if you're around those 5 degrees in Scorpio that we said. Or seventh house is not always just other people that will trigger this big change in your life. Seventh house is related to external circumstances, something that it's like something else triggers you into action. It doesn't have to be a person necessarily, but it's very likely to be. It can be that changes, that for example, like a big change happens in the life of your partner. They change career, or some big change in mind or in health in their case, or it just in your status of relationships. But it can be also that some external circumstance shifts the direction of your life in some way, something outside of yourself. This is the seventh house. So I mean, not all Scorpios will feel this eclipse, but definitely uh, those degrees that I mentioned, life changing, while all other Scorpios can look out for um, big developments related to other people in their life. For example, you can get married there, you can meet someone, you can take a relationship to the next step. But the eclipses can also have a little bit this, because they bring some such new energy, this eclipse with Rahu, with the North Node, such changes of circumstances that it can feel disruptive as well, especially at the beginning while you get used to that new energy. So yeah, pay attention to this 12th house, as I said, with the eclipse, and to the 7th house, other people, important people in your life that can be the trigger, and that can, something big can be happening in your life through them. All right, so Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising. Sagittarius, the first eclipse on the 14th of October is happening in your 11th house of friendships. Is the first eclipse out of 4 more eclipses that will be happening in your 11th house over the next year and a half. It's a new moon eclipse which talks about new beginnings. So you can see that your social circumstances and environment can change a lot over the next 1 year. For example, because also it's with the South Node, which is about something leaving and going away, or sacrifice of some sort, you can change. For example, your social environment, you can let go of some friends can leave your life, and new social environment can appear in your life. Very different than the previous one. New friends, and if you meet new friends or acquaintances or people in your life, Sagittarius, these carry a South Node energy. What is that? South Node means you have connection with them from past lifetimes. There is something unfinished there, or someone you have to help them, or they have to help you in some way, or you have to, complete something that was started in past lifetimes. So there is kind of the spiritual connotation to those new friendships or acquaintances, or maybe you can join groups that or like-minded people online or in real life that are connected to some more altruistic goal, to help the world, to transform the world, to help those in need, or more spiritual groups, for example, to study something more spiritual, to discuss more esoteric topics. So that's another way it can play out. But definitely your social environment will be going through some changes. You'll be seeing some shifts there. And the 11th house is also house of gains and rewards. So they can be like a new and long-term goals. So they can be a new idea that comes into your mind, that you're gonna be doing something, some new goal, long-term dream goal that appears in your life, and it might be directly connected to something you did in a past lifetime or in the first part of your life that you never completed. And it's almost like it's gonna come to you passively. You'll be sitting there and it will come to you as an opportunity or as an idea to take on that goal, because you have to carry it on to complete it from previous lifetimes or earlier in this lifetime, because the South Node carries this energy of the past. But they might be, so some long term goal, dream that you start on in the next 1 year. And 11th house is very business house, business opportunity, business goal as well, that you go into the direction of. 11th house is also gains. It's like if you're employed, this is your salary and or bonuses. If you have your own company, this is the gains of your company and your business. So the south node solar eclipse there can indicate new sources of gains that appear, but there might be the need to sacrifice for something, maybe some other source of gainful income, or income that you've had till now, to let it go so you can make space for new such opportunities. But some change can be happening there in a big way, and it can be a focus. The other eclipse, Sagittarius, is happening in Taurus, which is your sixth house. And that's a house of employment. It's connected to, or your employees if you're the boss. It's with the North Node, which usually tends to give you things. So if you've been working on some project, and it's a lunar eclipse, which means something you've been working already on will give you its rewards, its results. So you can see the results of some project at work that you've been working on. You might wrap it up, you might end it, but you'll get the rewards for it as well, because the eclipse is with Jupiter, with the North Node. You can gain something from that. It can indicate that also in the next 6 months, some of you will change your employment. They can be, of course, eclipses always can start with a bit of a crisis with a project, or crisis with work, or with an employee that you have, or with a work situation. But because this eclipse is together with Jupiter and the North Node, usually these tend to give you better results and rewards after that. And even if you change employment or employees during that time, over the next few months while the eclipse is active, it is gonna be good for you. The silver lining is gonna be very noticeable and even materially rewarding in some way. Sixth house is also where the eclipse is happening, your health routines. Do you exercise? How do you eat? What's your diet? How do you stand? Your posture? Do you wake up early or late? What are your daily routines, Sagittarius? Well, because it's a full moon eclipse, you'll see the results of those. And unfortunately, if you've been eating, not ideally or not exercising enough, sometimes it can trigger some health crisis that you become aware of, because these are the results of your previous actions. And hopefully Jupiter is there, you would immediately have the knowledge and realization where that health issue is stemming from. The same with the work problems. If a work problem appears, Jupiter is the planet of knowledge, you would immediately know what has to be changed, so for the situation to turn out positive. The same with your health, so you can do some adjustments there. If you've been already working on your health, changing habits in some way, you can see the results of that now. And this can be very positive results as well. But definitely that's the last eclipse in the sixth house for you for many years ahead. Last opportunity to shift something, and with the North Node to become very passionate about a different alternative, new ways of taking care of your health, of your daily routines. So that will be a big possibility for you to change now or to see the results of. Then Capricorns, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Capricorn, the first eclipse on the 14th of October is happening in your 10th house in Libra. Especially if your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant are from around 17 degrees to 26 degrees in Capricorn, you're going to feel this eclipse because it's going to square you directly. It's happening at 21 degrees. in Libra, so especially if you're 20, 21, 22 degrees, sun, moon, or ascendant, it can be very potent. And that's about big shift in your social status. It's in the 10th house of career, social status, your public image. So that can indicate, for example, some of you, and it's with the South Node. It has the thing of letting go of something first and welcoming something new, because it's a new moon, new beginnings, eclipse. But with the South Node, it means there is some kind of a sacrifice, some kind of releasing something. It doesn't have to be sacrifice. You might be very relieved to let go of some worldly responsibility, some worldly position, some career project, something to do with your career. Maybe one boss can leave, a new one can come. One kind of authority figure, like a father figure or a boss, can leave your life. But this makes space for you to become your own authority figure, or a new authority figure to come for you. It says in ancient books that when there is an eclipse in the 10th house, a person can become like a king, which means they can get a promotion, or they can hire more people, for example, or grow their business. I know this eclipse is with the South Node, but even the South Node, it means that it's maybe you'll see if there is a promotion, if there is a new career path that happens for you. It's as a consequence of your previous actions, and it's as a consequence of your past life karma or the past karma. South Node is connected with the karma. Maybe you can move to a career path that you've contemplated early in your life, so something to do with the past, but now it's a new opportunity for you to start on it. Or maybe it's a career path that you never completed in a past lifetime, and now the divine forces align in such a way that to push you to complete this in this lifetime. So there can be big shifts in career, whatever. I had last year, actually, eclipse in my 10th house with the South Node. And that's when because South Node is about a loss of some sort as well. So my story was that there was my YouTube was discontinued, 300,000 followers. They said, we're not restoring your account, don't look for YouTube. Like I lost everything I've worked for, everything. And I was like, what? So eclipses in the 10th house can bring a crisis in the career as well sometimes, and plans, worldly plans. But so this pushed me to do something that I wanted to do for a long time. South Node, something from the past. So I did a new channel, the AstroladaOfficial channel, and within a month after the eclipse, my old channel was restored. But at least I was pushed to do what I always wanted to do, a channel with only my own videos. So I'm giving you my example. There was some crisis, some sacrifice that happened, some loss, but it pushes you to do something, aligns you to something that is connected to, that you have almost like a karmic duty to do. So don't freak out if such things are happening, even if job is lost or whatever. It's trying to align you to the right path, and it can be very good eventually. But there is definitely new beginnings there. It's a new moon. So new beginnings, like a new idea can come to you for business, or you can change your business, or somehow maybe leave some idea in regards to, or some direction you've been taking with your career, take a new one, even if it feels like some kind of sacrifice. And of course, the 10th house is father figures. We spoke about that it can be some change there with father figures, authority figures. And also maybe possible crisis with institutions and authorities. But again, it's eclipses, they're fated. They're predetermined before you are born. This is there for the right thing. And even if something new comes to you, as I said, it will be almost like passively is offered to you. You have no choice. It's been put in action from past lifetimes. So you just have to go with the flow and follow it. All right, that's the first eclipse. And of course, 10th house is status. Your status can change from single to married, from married to single, from unemployed to employed, or something like that. Your status in the world, Now, the other big thing is the other eclipse, which is on the 28th of October. And this one is happening in your 5th house, Capricorns. And it's with the North Node, Rahu, and with Jupiter. That tends to have much more nicer connotation than the other one. Again, it's an eclipse. It can create some crisis in your love life, or in the relationships with children, or in your creative impulses initially. But it wants to align you to the right dharmic path. And full moon eclipses, they're about seeing results from previously taken actions. And it's with the North Node, there's some rewards there for you, something that you gain. So if you've been working on some creative project, it might be your business, it might be anything that is your own idea, your own baby, you know, that, oh, it might be a website, it might be a quilted blanket, it might be a business that you're doing, you know. It can, now you can be completing it and seeing the results from it and getting rewards from that, Jupiter, getting recognition from that as well. Or you might be there is the theme there as well of the fifth house connected with love life. So it can be your love life taking the next step, for example. It's come to its full moon stage and it's time for the next stage, for the next step in a relationship. And if it's not the right relationship, this eclipse will create a crisis and end the romantic relationship that you're in. Or it can just create a temporary crisis that allows you to see how you can change the relationship between one another there, and your attitude towards love and what love means. But I've seen eclipses definitely in the fifth house activate strongly the theme of romantic life, the theme of having fun as well, not just romantic life, anything that brings you joy. And because this eclipse is with the North Node and with Jupiter, I think you can gain a lot from that. You can, for example, a creative project can be very rewarding. A romantic relationship can take a next stage. And of course, it's your children. So there can be some big development with children, with pregnancies, a chapter in your life, in the life of your children, that they finish a chapter and start a new one. So that affects you as well. But it's all for the good. You know, it's with the North Node, it's with Jupiter, you're gainful from that. Also, fifth house is spiritual practices and inspirations. You can get some brilliant inspirations now, like ideas, write them down. Jupiter is there illuminating, protecting you from any dangers. So if new ideas come to you, this can be extremely positive for you for the long run. Write them down, something to change in regards to your business as well, in regards to your personal hobbies, new hobbies, careers, new hobbies, interests, things that you enjoy yourself can be the theme as well. So you see, these eclipses are not directly, just the first one, I think you feel it much stronger because it's squaring your sign. So focus on that one, Capricorns. Now, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising. The first eclipse on the 14th of October, which you might feel from before that even, is going to be in our ninth house, from your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant in Aquarius. This is a solar eclipse, the first one since 7-8 years in Libra in the ninth house. And this one is about new beginnings. It's a solar eclipse, new beginnings, and it's going to take you a year almost to see the results of new beginnings. But those new beginnings is in your head. The ninth house is the house of how you perceive the world, how you perceive reality. And you're asked almost like to sacrifice something, how you perceive reality. And ninth house is one of the self houses, how you perceive the self as well, what meaning you gave yourself in your life. And you almost like you have to let go of some old role or some old way that you perceived what the meaning of life is, what brings you joy, and release it and welcome in a new personality almost, which is more spiritual one, which is more higher self one, because the South Node is very spiritual influence. It's spiritualizing one of those self sectors, the ninth house, your awareness of yourself. So there might be the need for some sacrifice, letting go of old beliefs, letting go of and almost like reprogramming your mind. And this will happen, this reprogramming will give you a new realization of what the future holds, who you are, and how to interpret the world. But as I said, the whole process can take a whole year. And you start seeing yourself in a new light, in a different light. As I said, when there are eclipses in the self houses, whether it's the first, the ninth, or the fifth, it's like shedding of the old skin of who you are, with the South Node in particular, and starting to grow a new skin. And your skin is in particular related to worldview, perception of the world. And also you might notice that you have to become a little bit more detached in a sense with the South Node eclipse from your, if you get very passionate about certain beliefs, what is right, what is wrong, about certain moral dilemmas, this has to be done like that, or worrying about the world, or worrying about the future. The ninth house is the future. The South Node eclipse for a little bit can make you feel worried about the future, but the ultimate goal of the next 4 eclipses, which will happen over a year, the next 3 eclipses or something in your ninth house over a year and a half, is for you to release and to let go of feeling so strongly about how things should be, and allow God to unfold its own plan, his own plan, because this is the house of God, the ninth house. So it's very much about let go and let God, especially about trying to control the future. There is new future for you. Eclipse in your ninth house, new future plans, new vision about your life, new vision about what the world is and where you are heading and what your place is there. But you have to kind of not resist it with the South Node. You have to stop thinking that this is what's the right future for me or for the world, or this is what's moral and right. The universe will unfold a new plan in front of you. So there is this big shift in your mentality, especially of how you perceive reality, which can really release you from outdated beliefs, from karma from the past, from past lifetimes that have conditioned your beliefs, or previous earlier lifetime that have conditioned your beliefs about yourself, about the world. Huge release. But there is also ninth house on the more material level, can indicate something connected to trips, a big focus on trips and new beginnings, maybe visiting a foreign country, maybe not exactly on the day of the eclipse. Be careful around there, never travel on a day of eclipse on the 14th, 15th, 16th, those days. But there can be new opportunities or new possibilities for you to travel to new places. And those, interesting enough, that if you relocate to a new place, foreign country, or travel to a foreign country far away, because the eclipse is with the South Node, you'll be connected to those places through past lifetimes, or you've been there early in your first part of life. And it's almost like you'll be revisiting places that you've lived before, that you haven't completed something there, or they might even bring memories from past lifetimes. Those, if you go to another country, visit or travel for a little bit. And traveling over the next year and something, can be a very spiritual experience. It's not going to be so much about materially gaining financial opportunities so much. More, it's like almost like pilgrimage. An opportunity to travel can appear that opens such doors for you, for your soul, because the South Node's influence. Also, you can meet new people now, which are foreigners. You can get introduced to them, but you might be connected to them through past lifetimes. Again, those new people are usually foreigners or people from faraway places or different social background, very different than you, not in your usual, normal, everyday environments. But there is a spiritual connection or past life connection there. Maybe you are connected because you are somehow in past life together and you have to complete something. So you owe something to them, they owe something to you to help you, Or maybe you get connected through spiritual themes. Maybe like people that you're mutually interested in spiritual topics about helping others, more like giving back to the world, altruistic topics, humanistic topics in some way. Also, ninth house is about teaching. So if any of you is a teacher or a student, that can be a new course of studies for you. It might entail like you letting go of one type of education or indoctrination or knowledge that you had and embracing a very different type of studies, maybe pre-qualifying, opening a path for you to study something, to let go of conditioning of past beliefs as well, which is really healing as well, but also to study some new topic. And especially can be extremely good for studying spiritual topics like psychology. Ketu, the South Node, rules psychology, rules astrology, rules the occult, the hidden things about the soul as well, and sciences as well. Or you can be starting some new teaching project that is about advising, guiding others in some way, spreading knowledge, wisdom. Again, there is spiritual connotation there. And it's almost like a karmic calling that you have to do with the south node in some way. And of course, the south node, the ninth house, is father figures, teacher figures. They can be the leaving of one teacher or one mode of religion or belief that you've had, that you leave them, let go of them, one type of even affiliation to political parties or worldview, or a teacher that you followed or a teaching, but embracing a new one as well that is more aligned to your spiritual path. And if you're a teacher yourself, you might be doing some very important big teaching project over the next 1 year, spreading knowledge and so on. Okay. After that, we come to Pisces. Last but not least, one of my favorite signs, Pisces. Sorry that you always last. That's how it works. Like the Bible says, which is a Piscean, it was created in the age of Pisces, says the last will be first. So the humble, the meek, the invisible, the downtrodden, which is very Piscean qualities, will be first one day in heaven. Anyway, Pisces, the first eclipse on the 14th of October is happening in Libra, which is your 8th house. Oh, roll back. Sorry. Aquarius, I mentioned just the first eclipse. The second eclipse for you, Aquarius, sorry about that, is going to be in Taurus. Now, this one, you can feel it more directly. Taurus is in your 4th house. And especially if you have your sun, moon, or ascendant in the early degrees of Aquarius, that is from, let's say, from 1 degree till 7, 8 degrees, 9, because the eclipse happens at 5 degrees. So especially if your ascendant, sun, or moon is around 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 degrees, you'll feel it very strongly. But that's the last eclipse in your 4th house for many years ahead. And it's with the North Node. So that can indicate some big change in your personal life. With the North Node, it can give you like a new member of the family, big shift in your place that you live in. North Node tends to give things. And with Jupiter, it's a blessing, and it's a blessing. It's some kind of opportunities held there. So for some of you, it can mean relocation, changing something with your place of living over the next 6 months. This eclipse lasts till next spring, for 6 months, till the next lunar eclipse. So shift in your place of living, buying property or gaining from property. It can mean a big change in your personal family and the dynamics of the family as well. Sometimes even the eclipses with the North Node and with Jupiter, they can start with a crisis, some crisis to do with where you live, with place of living, with family members, mother, father. It can also be that, and then you're adapting to the new reality after that. But ultimately, you would gain something. So if you have to do something for home, for property, I think over the next 6 months, that would be appropriate. And it's kind of fated as well. It's an eclipse there that shows it was meant to be somehow. Okay. So going back to Pisces now. Sorry about that. Pisces, sun, moon, or rising. The first eclipse is happening in your 8th house. On the 14th of October, it's going to last for a year, this eclipse, so the influence can be seen for quite some time. Now, eclipse in the 8th house, eclipses carry the energy of sudden change. So does the 8th house. So when we combine both, it's like double whammy. There can be sudden turnaround in your life. And the 8th house is the house of life and death. So what is that? Pregnancies, births, possible in some extent, or even sometimes people departing in your life. It's not necessarily your death, don't worry at all about that. But they can be, sometimes it activates this theme of someone passing. But don't be scared. There was a couple of people that passed in my life that used to be very close to me. And this eclipse is with the South Node, so maybe someone from the past that you've known is possible. But let's not talk about that. 8th house, a lot more different things happen in the 8th house than passing. The 8th house is the house of psychological transformation. So there can be a big change there psychologically, especially release of trauma. Because this eclipse is happening with the South Node, and South Node is to release, is the dragon's tail where you excrete. So you can be freed. It's a liberation, very liberating, the South Node energies. Moksha, we call it in ancient astrology. And so is the eighth house is a moksha, liberation house. So there is a great opportunity starting now from October for a year ahead to release a lot of trauma, to release a lot of heavy emotional burden that you've been dragging from past lifetimes or from early life traumas. South Node speaks about that. And some new method of healing can appear for you. It can happen spontaneously. South Node can allow it to happen without you even making an effort, or through working with a psychologist, or through just certain realizations that this is released, this trauma, this obsession, or even eighth house is very much connected to certain addictions that you can release from you, that you can let go of. It can also be for some of you, high evolved, can be spiritual awakenings. And often spiritual awakenings, eighth house is the house of initiation into a different state of consciousness. But all initiations happen through some kind of crisis sometimes. And even if there's some type of crisis, know that this can, at the end of this process, you might be much closer to spirit. You might have your spiritual gifts much more, and intuition much more strongly enhanced. Eighth house is also other people's resources and finances. They can be a new beginning there. For example, you can lose one source of income that comes to you from others, whether it's from government, from partner, from clients, but a new one can appear in your life. Maybe some clients leaving, their resources going away, but new clients appearing as an opportunity that actually they almost like owe something to you from past lifetime, and they're coming to bring it. But also they can be eighth house can be like maybe your partner's finances change somehow in the next 1 year, and maybe your money that you've been relying from, I don't know, alimony or another person, or if you've been relying on the talents of another person. Eighth house is other people's talents, not just their finances and money. You can lose one such kind of what you've been relying on, but it appeared because it's a new moon, so it allows you to access new such resources and help from other such sources. Eighth house is also the house we spoke. It's the house of death and rebirth, of other people's finances and resources. There can be someone from a past lifetime that owes you something that appears now to give it to you as well. Psychological transformations. Yeah, that's about it, guys. I'm sure I'm missing things, but that's what comes to mind now. And then the other eclipse, which is in Taurus, will be happening in your third house on the 28th of October, but it will be active for 6 months, so you can feel it even a month before that. It's happening in your third house. So what does it mean? Well, it's with Rahu, with the North Node, and it's a full moon eclipse, which means that, for example, full moon is about seeing results, completing something. You might be wrapping up some project that you've been doing, which is online or media project or marketing or writing or speaking project of some sort, or business project, or some teamwork project that you've been working in a small team. So you might be seeing the results of that now over the next 6 months, and wrap it up or get rewarded for that. This eclipse is with Jupiter and with the North Node. You get rewards from that. They can be a focus on gaining through relatives, through siblings, receiving some opportunity through them. They can be themes of even getting a car. For example, third house is transportation, vehicles. Of course, it can be disruptive again, because if you're changing your people in your environment and life, because that's the energy of the third house, who is around you in your life, or if you're changing your transportation system, it can feel a bit disruptive. Or maybe your laptops and communication devices, you might be changing something there, or you might be changing your marketing strategy, which is the third house, so how you connect to other people online, social media. But to be honest, because this eclipse is kind of, it gives you things. If you collaborate with someone now, if you are in team partnerships with someone, or if you start taking short trips, that's another meaning of the third house, you can really benefit, even materially. You can materially see results of that. Third house is the house also of self-made wealth through your own skills. So you might gain now over the next few months through your own skills, through your own communication abilities, through whether you have hand skills or brain skills or whatever knowledge, information of some sort can become a source of gains and growth and opportunity for you. It can be a good time to do a website, to develop a business, to grow a business. It can be a good time to do collaborations. It can be a good time to, especially if you can do short trips or study something, classes, courses is third house, some new skills that you can learn. It can bring a lot of opportunities, or if already existing skills that you can employ, that or existing project which is connected to writing, speaking, knowledge, information, online commercial activities of any sorts, you can take them to the next level, or you can be more rewarded, see results from those things. And again, if you can take short trips over the next 6 months, that can be a source of some really good opportunities for you. So thank you so much, all of you. Be blessed in those eclipses. May they align you to the right path. And may your soul find peace and exhilaration in the coming big transformations.